important to yourself, which is very hard to come by unless you hire her privately. So ask the questions. I know, John, you're here, right? John's got some really good in-depth questions for you that I think you'll love.
I'm excited.
So yeah, so be good. So enjoy your time, stay cool, enjoy the snacks. All right.
Well, thank you all so much for coming today. I'm Lauren, and it's happy to be here. I had done a talk for you guys a long time ago, like 2017. I remember moving back from California, and I came to one of your yearly parties, and that was in Marshfield. So my office now is actually in Marshfield, and I've been a registered dietitian for 13 years now, and opened my own practice 5 years ago, where I see people in Marshfield for nutrition of all various things. A lot of people come to see me for just general health, weight loss. I do a lot with gut-mind connection, blood sugar balance, heart health, and I also see appointments for people online. And I work with a couple different insurances as well, which can be helpful for people. But what we're going to talk about today, I kind of made a little catchy headline. I got to see some of you guys working out in there, and yeah, I haven't been here before. It's awesome what you do. And so nutrition is a really big part of that. You know, it's kind of, you come to your classes, but then the fueling yourself part is so important too, throughout your day, before and after your workout. So what we'll do today, we'll go through, we've got a whole thing planned, but feel free to raise your hand, ask any questions, if you need any clarification along the way, and then at the end, if you want to stay for some extra questions, we can do that too. Okay, so let's get going. Alright, so just a little brief thing of what we're going to go through today, some nutrition basics. We'll go through that first. At the end, I got some mindset stuff. I also teach yoga for work, and so I'm always thinking of that, of just the whole picture of things that matter. Food to support your mind and your gut, because there's such a big connection there. We'll be going into all the macronutrients, carbs, protein, fats, but specifically protein and your medications, meal and snack ideas and supplements, and some mindset and lifestyle tips. Okay, and so just a little brief thing, why nutrition matters, especially with Parkinson specifically, but for everybody in general. So if you're experiencing muscle loss, fatigue, brain fog, or constipation, they can be common things, but nutrition really can help you to fight back with that. Food is fuel, information and medicine for the brain and body. So like everything in life, we have a really big relationship with food, right? With the food we put into our body, how we care for ourselves. And I always like to say bottom food is medicine. It gives us all the vitamins and minerals that we need beyond supplements. And yeah, it's like a self-care relationship. We don't have to be perfect, right? We're not robots. Nobody's 100%. So if we're staying on track with what we're eating, when we're really focusing on it, trying our best, like 80 to 90% of the time, to eat food with nutrients in it, that's really going to help you. Then there's that 10-20% room for fun, enjoyment, celebration. Food is an experience, right? And it's just as much important for that as everything. So it's like we're in it kind of, long-term things of how do you establish a lifestyle. But nutrition really can help to improve your quality of life. And you may notice and maybe can relate to certain phases of your life where when you don't focus on what you're eating, you really just felt good. And everything's personalized too. So we'll go through some general goals today, but I will say depending on you, your goals, your symptoms, your preferences, your lab work, everybody's going to be a little bit different. And that's what really makes my job so interesting. I love working one-to-one with people to really create plans that take out the noise of what everybody else is doing. But it's kind of like when you do that, you can really focus on yourself. So yeah, let's get into some details. So we'll go through just some basic nutrition needs, kind of a good way to start to break things down. Okay, calories, energy. Right? We've probably all heard those terms. I like to think of calories as our form of gas. Right? If you're fueling a car, and calories are going to come from macronutrients, protein, carbs, and fats. They're the main things that give us fuel and energy. So yeah, if you're fueling a car, it needs to run on that, and I kind of like this analogy too for just how we burn things, your metabolism, right? If you're going to a campfire, the more steady wood you feed the fire, good quality wood, it burns really well, right? But sometimes if we don't fuel it enough or it starts to kind of burn out, like the fire will burn out. Or we feed too much at once and it can go crazy. Or if we feed it things like maybe like plastics or junk, the fire can get kind of out of control a little bit. So when we fuel ourselves like food on a steady basis to nourish ourselves, fuel our workouts, give us nutrients, it kind of is a nice, more steady burn. But, so wondering how many calories you have, this is like an average because I will say it's really hard to like put like an exact number on it. There's general things, but for men, usually a little bit more, just a little bit more muscle mass and whatnot. So 2,000 to 2,600, general woman 16 to 2,200, but it's gonna be based on your weight, your activity, symptoms, and yeah, really kind of where your weight goes and where your energy is. Like even if that says to, you gotta eat 2,600, you are and you're losing weight, like maybe it's not enough, right? So I think it's very good to kind of take it in a case by case. So that's the basis, but we'll go through, break down like where you can get this energy from, because like I was saying with the fire, the energy sources really matter. Right? You can put two people on the same calorie diet, one person, you know, is just eating like fast food, junk food, the other person's eating like more whole, real foods. Even if it's the same calories, right, the person who's eating better food is gonna probably get a little bit better results and feel better. Okay, so protein, this can be a topic, right? Protein's everywhere. And we went this into the last group a little bit. I know with certain medications like the levodopa, protein can be kind of a thing to manage. It can be like a little controversial. Like how much do I eat? And this is going to interact with my medication if I'm on something like levodopa. So in general, without like, I think protein can be really beneficial. It's not to say you gotta overdo it and amp up your protein at every meal, but good quality protein with your meals and snacks, spacing it away from your medications, can really be beneficial. You need that protein box. It breaks down to amino acids, which are the building blocks of your body. So amino acids are they're gonna build your hair, your skin, your nails, your hormones, your enzymes, help your muscles grow. So it's doing like so much work in your body and it really sustains your energy. And so you guys, some of you just worked out, right? So after a workout within like 30, 60 minutes, pretty good. Your body's in a pretty primed state to get in, you know, depending on your medications when you took them. Like even like I'll go over side, like 10, 15 grams of protein within an hour of working out can be really beneficial to build your muscle and maintain and prevent being too hungry later. So, yeah, but where protein comes from, there's going to be animal sources and plant sources. And that's where it really depends on like what you enjoy as a person. Animal sources absorb a little bit better, but on plant sources, it doesn't mean you can't get 100% of your needs. But things like chicken, turkey, beef, fish, shellfish, eggs, Greek yogurt, cottage cheese, legumes, tempeh, tofu. And then for supplemental things, and I mentioned this to the last group, I can send out some certain like different protein powders that I like and recommend that if you like smoothies or have trouble getting in your needs or you'd like to add that to certain things, like I'll often add like make a smoothie or just be a quick meal or after a workout, or I'll add it to like a chia seed pudding or like oatmeal to amp it up a little bit. But protein powders there's so many types out there, and it's yeah, I could write a whole presentation on protein powders. But there are some ones that I like. So, do we have any questions on protein?
What are some of the protein powders you like?
Good one. So I'll say protein powders, there's going to be your dairy sources of protein, whey protein and casein protein. You're going to have your plant proteins that come more from like pea protein, hemp protein, brown rice protein, chia seed protein, and then you'll have some that come from like grass-fed beef. So if you tolerate dairy okay, whey protein is really great for absorbing, for muscle gain. I'm lactose intolerant, so I do not do well with whey protein. But if you do tolerate that well, it can be be really great if your goal is to build muscle and energy. There's this brand I like, and I can send you guys this, Pure Paleo Protein. That one's not too high in protein. It's like 15 grams.
What's the title again?
The protein powder?
Yes.
It's Pure Paleo Protein. There's that's a whey protein. There's like 15 grams in a scoop, which is on the lower side. So that could be helpful for some of you. I do more of the. I use this brand. There's 2 plant-based ones that I like with the ingredient. I look for a list of ingredients that are simple. We don't things you can't read. Like usually those are the things that get you. Things like there can be a lot of artificial sweeteners. There can be gums. There can be like sunflower lecithin and some like oils. So those are like when the list is that long, there's often things in there that can cause like some stomach upset or even some blood sugar spikes. There's this brand called Truvani that I like, Truvani. That one's a plant-based one, and the ingredient list only has real foods, and I like the flavor. So that's a big thing too, right? Some of these things, like you'll try them and it's like, oh my God, I'm like drinking dirt. And that just like how is that enjoyable, right? So you gotta always weigh like, what's the ingredients? How does it taste? How does my stomach feel when I have this? And then there's a whole other thing of looking, that like it hasn't been tested for chemicals, right? So I like that one. And then Orgain proteins, one you'll see a lot. Their general list is kind of long, but they have a simple protein. That's a little more on the affordable side with very few ingredients, and they're like 15 grams of protein too. So
Can you spell that?
Orgain,
Yeah.
yep, Orgaine. Simple would be the one that I think is better ingredient wise. And then if you're somebody who tries both of those and you get bloated or stomach upset, there's this brand called Equip, EQUIP, and they're grass-fed beef isolate protein, and I find that sometimes those ones are the easiest on the stomach for people. So yeah, I could have probably done a whole talk on protein powders today. So I hope that I'll write down some things because the first group asked for that too, but those are the top ones that I've tried myself, and I've seen case by case that some people do better than the others. But yeah, protein powders you can make smoothie with, like for a meal. You could do a smaller smoothie or protein shake post-workout. You could add them to things, like I said, oatmeal, or make protein balls or something with them, or I have a good recipe for chia seed pudding, because we'll go through chia seeds in here, but I really like them as like a superfood. And I find they're easy to make overnight in like mason jars for snacks or like a small breakfast. So yeah, that's the main ways I use them. Another one I've kind of gotten into as well, because we have coffee drinkers in here. Right, the silly question, right? But yeah, I like coffee myself. But one thing, this isn't even on here, just in general for health, coffee on an empty stomach without any food is not good. It's just a little harsh on the system, right? It's not food. And I want to drink coffee. I really like it. But it's acidic. It goes right into your stomach, and it can make us like, we may not feel it, right? But it's a stimulant. It can make us a little anxiety. So it's kind of good to wait to have coffee with food. But sometimes what I'll do, I'll even just to get some protein in the morning and mix it together. I'll blend and I'm not trying to ruin your coffee. I know people are very specific with coffee, but you can blend the two together, and that kind of is an easy way to, if you're trying to get in a little more protein and you're not one to like breakfast. Sometimes that can amp up your metabolism and not give you just only coffee. So, yeah. Any other questions? Awesome, but if things come to you, we can go back to it. But I guess my general thing with that is like moderate protein, some kind of protein source, even like your palm size of like chicken or beef or turkey will give you enough protein like for your meals. And you just want to space it out. You don't want to do all your protein at once, because that's where it gets kind of like hard to digest and you may get some side effects. Okay, cool. We're going to carbs. So carbs really just help us to sustain our energy. Carbs can be kind of controversial, and I really think it comes down to the type and the amount that we do. But carbs, their main role in the body is to give us energy. They break down into our blood sugar, but the ones that don't break down as quick have a better effect with fiber in them. So something like, white piece of bread or sugary cereal or Skittles, right? That's gonna digest super quick. Break into our sugar and then break down to sugar, then we get a blood sugar spike, and it goes down and we feel like we're crashing or we don't feel good. So things with more fiber like oats, berries, beans, quinoa, sweet potatoes, avocados, nuts and seeds have some good fiber. They break down quicker, and fiber is also really, I have a whole other slide on fiber, so we'll go through some more examples, but it helps to regulate digestion and keeps us fuller. But things, you don't have to completely avoid them, right? Like to limit things that are the carbs that kind of don't help us as much are going to be refined sugars, ultra processed carbs that spike and crash energy. I listened to this cool. Has anyone here ever know anybody or have ever worn a blood sugar monitor? Well, I have a couple clients that do, and it's cool to see the trends. And then I was listening to a podcast on it, and so carbs are depending on, even stress can spike your sugar, but the podcast was saying the number carb foods, number one is sugary candy, like Swedish Fish and Skittles, and then all the breakfast foods like muffins, sugary cereals like Fruit Loops, and all those things. But if we have a little more, rather than a sugary cereal, right, like oatmeal and berries for breakfast may be a little bit better of an option. So yeah, I guess, and to kind of have a little bit of carbs with your meals or snacks, and even after a workout to refuel, with a protein carb combination can be pretty nice. If you were to do Greek yogurt with some berries or something would be good, or blending some fruit into your smoothie, or peanut butter and banana or something would be a nice way to refuel. So yeah.
What about something like Ezekiel?
So I do like Ezekiel bread. It's sprouted grains, and the ingredient list is all real foods. I like that brand, the Food for Life. But a lot of the Ezekiel breads are like that. But yeah, they generally for most digest pretty well. There's more fiber, and the list on the label is all real foods. So I like it. Other things, sometimes people digest sourdough bread better. If you really have a lot of gut stuff or if you're gluten sensitive, that's where the gluten-free bread would come in. But yeah, I generally like that.
How about Mike's bread?
Mike's bread?
Yeah.
I haven't heard of Mike's bread. Am I not with it? It's Mike's.
Yeah, check it.
Mike's.
Dave's.
Okay.
Oh, Dave's, yeah.
I'm sorry.
That's good stuff.
Dave's killer bread, yeah. So I had that sometimes. They got a little more fiber and protein. They do add some sugars to it, but I will say, and they have thinner slices too that are on the lower carb side, but I find some of their, so my boyfriend does construction and stuff outside, and he used to eat a ton, so I actually buy him the Dave's killer bread sandwich rolls, and I make sandwiches on them. So they're not that, I wouldn't buy them for anything for that. No. But somewhere I really do like, just in general for quality, there's a bakery in the Cape. Pont d'Avenue. My pronunciation of things is bad. It's a French bakery. Pont d'Avenue.
You have to drive all the way to the Cape to get it?
No, they have them in a lot of grocery stores, but the ingredients are super simple and clean, and they have a multigrain, a sourdough, and all this. But I find it to really good quality. And so I try to find just less ingredients, going back to more simple things is always better.
How do you spell it? D.
I'm gonna look it up because last time I tried to on my computer, I messed the whole thing up. I'm gonna spell it because
Yeah.
yeah, it's P-A-I-N. Yeah, and if somebody can pronounce this for me, D'-A-V-I-G-N-O-N. Yep, so I've gotten that. Even Trader Joe's has it. Star Market, I've gotten it. A lot of farmers markets. Hingham's Farmers Market has it on Saturdays. So that quality and just the ingredient list is pretty good because I'm not one to want to like really eliminate foods unless I absolutely like have to for my health.
Right.
I think if, you know, every time, let's say I had a piece of bread and every time I ate it, I felt terrible, I take that as a sign that my body is not digesting bread well. But if I'm eating it from a good quality source and balancing it out and it brings some joy to my life, like, I'm gonna do it. So, yeah, it's all balance. But then the more we can get carbs in there with some fiber, that's gonna be helpful too. Fiber helps with digestion, detox. It's gonna help with removing toxins from your body. It binds to things, especially like cholesterol. It helps with your gut microbiome. Have you guys heard that term? It's kind of all over the place, right? So your gut health, we're gonna go into more, but gut health really is related to like everything. So you have these little gut bacteria, mostly in your colon, but they really survive off of the foods you eat, and they like fibers. So fiber isn't really digested. It kind of goes to your colon, and a lot of the bacteria use that to survive. And they can kind of shape our lives, but the more variety of fibers and stuff we can get in there, the better. And so these are just the general goals. And if you're increasing your fiber, you want to do it gradually, getting in more water too. Sometimes if you do too much at once, you could feel like kind of bloated, or maybe you run into the bathroom or whatnot. So good to do it gradually. But in general, men 38 grams, women 25. If you're over 50, just because like sometimes we don't eat as much, men go down to 30 grams, women 21. But if you're already like meeting that or going over, it's okay too. But you don't want to start at like 10 grams and be like, I'm going to 30 tomorrow. Like you might want to just do it a little bit. But the next page, I got a fiber list. So for fiber foods, generally fibers are going to come from plants. Legumes, beans, lentil, chickpeas are all really high. Whole grains like oats, quinoa, barley. Fruits, berries, apples, kiwis, avocados. So avocados more like, they're different, but they're considered a fruit. Berries, I would say raspberries are probably the highest fiber fruit. There's like 9 grams in a serving. Anything with skins, if you tolerate that, okay, the skins have a little fiber in them too. Cruciferous vegetables, artichokes, leafy greens. I said the chia seeds and flax seeds, pumpkin seeds, really any of the nuts and seeds. I picked a few. But even if you're like sensitive to things, a way to increase your fiber, I find a lot of people do good with flax seeds, like the ground. You want to get the ground ones, so adding those like a tablespoon to start the day to like a smoothie or oats or yogurt or something can be helpful to increase your fiber like gently. Chia seeds, I want to say in 3 tablespoons, 2.5, 3 tablespoons, there is like 10 to 12 grams of fiber. And I find them to digest really well. And they also, which we'll go into, those are really good sources of healthy fats too. Pumpkin seeds can be a really good snack. 4th cup is also like 10 grams of protein. But yeah, I think with getting in, you know, not overdoing on the protein, a good quality source, kind of having some fiber with your meals in combination can be really nice. And you feel full too. We won't get those crashes, right? Let's say you get up in the morning and you kind of just do a piece of toast, right? That's the worst thing, because if that's all you have, it digests super quick. And then the carbs create our blood sugar, so we may get a little spike, and then we may get kind of tired or cranky, or we want more sugar, and then we're kind of sent through a wave. But when you kind of pair some fiber and proteins like throughout the day, you will feel more energized, and like cravings can go down, your gut may work better, stuff like that.
What's cruciferous?
Cruciferous, that's gonna be things like broccoli, cauliflower, Brussels sprouts, cabbage. Yeah, that's a good question. I should have wrote that.
The cabbage family, basically?
Yeah, like yep. So those ones generally have a good amount of fiber, but all vegetables like have some fiber. Yeah,
Is too much fiber sometimes cause bloating?
it can for some. Yeah. I'm sorry, what?
So you have to introduce some things really carefully sometimes?
Well, I think it depends. So I'll say in general, like gradually increasing your fiber should be okay. if I see clients that are eating really healthy, right, and like increasing their fiber and feeling really bloated, it kind of is like common signs of what I would say is maybe there's some stomach issues going on. So for myself, I've had a lot of stuff like that. I come from a background of an eating disorder, and that's how I got into nutrition. And so that kind of messed up my gut for a while. And then I started to eat better and healthy, working with clients, and I was like, why do I feel bad all the time? And my stomach just like was, you know, out to here, looking like I was pregnant. And a lot of the fiber foods that are healthy, if you have gut imbalances, can make you feel worse. So that's just something to consider, that if you like are feeling more constipated or bloated with a lot of healthy food, sometimes it can be too much too soon, or sometimes it can be like an imbalance that just needs to be addressed. And then when you address the imbalance, you can go back to like eating a lot of things, because you don't want to be on a restrictive thing forever, you know? But yeah, that's like a whole topic there. But good questions. Okay, healthy fats are really good for your brain. Full, 20-35% of your calories, which we could calculate out. But in general, I think if you're just getting, spread throughout your day, or cooking with some good quality oils, or using olive oil as like salad dressings or those kind of base dressings. I like Primal Kitchen salad dressings a lot. They're pretty clean. Or I was saying to my other class earlier that like I went to Italy last fall and stayed at a winery in Tuscany and kind of ate bread and olive oil and wine all week, and I was like, I feel fine. But they only use olive oil on their salads.
Right.
Some dressing doesn't even exist. So we're kind of talking is that like simple is better, right? But we don't. Our world's here. We got to navigate it a little bit. But healthy fats, they can really help with inflammation in the bodies. So, and they help to regulate hormones. They keep us full. And including some fat, they're like the topping of a meal. They're not going to be like, as much vegetables as you do, or as much carbs, right? But if you even just cook with a little oil, right? Or you add a little salad dressing to your salads, or you top something with little nuts or seeds, or if you like seafood, some kind of like salmon or mackerel or something can be really helpful for the omega-3s. The fats you just want to avoid are going to be more like fried foods, things found in like too much baked goods, or sometimes like we'll probably hear the term seed oils all over the place. If you haven't, it's okay. But they're going to be a lot in like packaged foods. So if you look at the back, things like canola oil, vegetable oil, sunflower oil, stuff like that's a little more processed. But if we just try our best, right, it evens out. And fat supports your memory, your mood, your hormones. So yeah, it's all just balance in there.
Why wild salmon?
Wild salmon?
Yeah, why
Wild, oh, that's a great question. Wild salmon, if you can, I would, just because farm, I don't want to gross you guys out, but
No,
the farm salmon, if they're just like in this pool and they are fed, like they just eat each other's, like, they're just, waste. It's kind of, and
that's why they add antibiotics to it, don't they?
yeah, that's, as best you can, choosing more organic, like wild caught seafood, or like organic antibiotic-free chicken, or grass-fed beef, stuff like that. We're not in like I said, a perfect world, but if you can gradually start to do more of that, because, we don't want to be taking in their antibiotics or vaccines or hormones or the waste they're eating. Because I like a lot of animal proteins. I just try to do the best I can. And
May I ask you a question?
yeah.
So there's sort of some views, encourage you to eat more wild salmon, for the the omega-3s and
Yeah.
stuff. And other people will say, well, avoid salmon because it has mercury from the ocean, or arsenic or something. What's your view? Eat in moderation, kind of thing?
I would say in moderation, just because of the benefits in it. If you were to
Don't weigh
have
that.
it, it's like if you get a good quality source of it, I would try not to overthink it, because there might, if you were having some kind of like, metal toxicity symptoms, I would maybe, get that checked out or try to avoid things more, or like if somebody's like pregnant. But in general, if we just try to get like a good wild caught source and do it like once a week, twice a week, you just, because we don't get omega-3s really in our diet too much, like that's why we take, we get it in our diet, we don't make them. So if we're taking like fish oil supplements, right, it's one that's actually pretty worth it because we don't make the fatty acids on our own. And so salmon is just really like the word bioavailable, meaning easier for the body to absorb. So things like walnuts, chia seeds, flax seeds also have a lot of good omega-3s, but they just don't absorb as well as like the seafood would. So I guess there's balance, right? You maybe don't want to eat salmon every day of your life, but get it in, chicken or some plant-based stuff, or a good quality grass-fed beef in there. I think that helps us to not really overdo anything. Does that help?
Yeah, very good, thank you.
Fish oil is okay, and the capsules.
Yeah, I love fish oil. I think for most it can be really beneficial because we don't make it and we don't get a lot in our diet. So it can help with inflammation for a lot of people and like heart health too. Okay, brief on hydration. It's a hot day out, right? So just in general, good day to talk about it. Ideally for most, 64 ounces of some kind of water. Things to consider water. Just general water, you can infuse it with fruit, decaf, herbal, unsweetened teas count. If you tolerate it and you don't mind the bubbles, like soda waters can be helpful. I like electrolytes a lot. I wrote a couple brands down there. If you're sweating a lot or constantly feeling thirsty, that the minerals, you can digest them better or absorb the water better. And so yeah, if you ever feel brain fog, dizzy, urine's dark, fatigue, probably just signs you're not drinking enough water. But just trying to bring your water with you, have things you like. If you really forget, I tell my clients to set some timers. So yeah, and foods can bring some hydration, not as much as water, but like melons, watermelon, cantaloupe, pineapples, cucumbers, oranges, so like some low sugar popsicles, stuff like that. So getting a little into just some facts about the brain I thought were interesting.
Can I ask one?
Yeah, go for it.
Hydration.
Go for it.
You had the element G and the Ultima listed.
Yeah.
Those are the best ones. What about
There's so
Gatorade?
many out there.
I was gonna say, what about Gatorade or some of those other ones that, you run pretty easily?
So I think with that, the Gatorade, they're doing better. Like they did, sometimes there's dyes in them, like red dye, blue dye. You don't want those as much as you can avoid dyes. There can be quite a lot of sugar, and then they are the artificial sweeteners. So the artificial sweeteners sometimes they're great on your gut. You can make your blood sugar high. But yeah, so I put the Ultima one is a little cheaper and it has less sodium. Element G, if you're sweating a lot, can be really good, but there's so many out there now. Like the new ones, NUN, those can be okay. Even you can make your own little hydration cocktails with like a pinch of Himalayan sea salt or Celtic sea salt with lemon. And putting that in your water can help you absorb your water better. If you're someone who retains a lot of fluid or blood pressure stuff, that might be more of an individualized conversation just because there's always little matches, right? But if you find that, any kind of, so I'd say if you put a little salt in that really makes you retain fluids or affects your medications, but in general, they can be really helpful. Okay, so your brain uses a lot of energy. 20% of your body's energy. It needs raw materials. So we're talking about like protein, like amino acids, right? That's the raw breakdown of protein. The calories we were just talking about between like carbs, protein, fats, they contain a lot of vitamins and minerals. So we need to break all those things down to use them. Cholesterol is found in the brain, and inflammation can harm the brain, which affects every part of our body. And we all handle it in different ways, and like I said, nobody's perfect, but food and exercise and all that can help. And food is fuel for your brain, so nutrition.
Question about the inflammation.
Yeah,
Is there a list of foods that cause?
I got it. I'm gonna, yeah. So we'll go into that more, kind of inflammation stuff. I don't know if that's my next slide. It's coming up. Okay, so these just kind of fun little facts about brain foods that specifically may help on colors. So if you ever think of things like that have a lot of colors, like if you were to cut like a beet or cook with turmeric, like usually your hands are gonna be like bright purple or there's yellow everywhere, right? And those are really strong, powerful things. So things with a lot of colors, red and purple foods can be really helpful. Berries, beets, cabbage, purples. Some other things like cherries, cranberries, pomegranates. We talked about the healthy fats, but they're really just, I put them on there because they're really supportive of your brain. Curcumin, that's the active ingredient of turmeric. That's what gives it its yellow color. Turmeric's really good for decreasing inflammation, and it may help with joint pain. With the blood pressure stuff, that's one thing I would be cautious of if you're on blood pressure medication, to be cautious of how much, like I wouldn't go taking a high dose turmeric supplement, just because that can sometimes like affect your blood pressure with the medication. However, cooking with it should be totally safe. So, and then fiber, which we talked about, but these things can really be helpful for your health. Next, okay, so this is the request, the things that may cause inflammation. So I'm not saying you gotta completely like avoid everything all the time. Like, I'm not perfect myself, but to limit it and do more of the other things we were talking about. So things that are gonna cause more inflammation in your body are gonna be, you know, how we were saying, just like, it's hard with everything in the packages now. Everything's just added to be preserved, or to make it taste really good. Like the food industry job is to make you buy things, make things taste good, and so they're gonna add a lot of sugars and sweeteners and all of that. Refined sugar, so things that break down really quick. If you look on the back of a label where it just, you know, I would try to, in general, choose things, ideally it has 0 grams of added sugar. But sometimes I tell people, you know, less than 6 grams of added sugar is helpful. And I like a good dessert myself, so it's just how the overall day works out. Trans fat, inflammatory oils, found in margarines, fried foods, baked goods, processed meats like too much like hot dogs, things like bologna, stuff like that.
All the stuff that we like.
And I'm not saying you gotta be perfect or do everything today, right? But even gradual changes can help, and trying to fill up rather than thinking of like, oh my God, I can never have these things. Even if you just try to fill up on some of the other things and include them more, you like become really full and you don't even want the other things as much. But too much like canned things, too much alcohol, too much caffeine, which we talked about. And then another thing, like with sometimes with levodopa is like too much dairy can interfere with the absorption. So maybe just not like taking it down with like a big glass of milk or something. So yeah, these would be the things that might cause more inflammation in your body. Yeah, so actually a good quality butter is going to be much better for you. It's not processed, it's only ingredient you're going to see on it is butter, maybe a little salt. So for a while, margarine was such a thing, but if you look at it now, it's going to be full of like the vegetable oil, canola oil, the ingredients, and on there. But if you're getting good quality butter, it actually can be really helpful and make your food taste good. Cool. So we're talking just a little bit of gut health too. So I was saying that gut microbiome, like your gut bacteria, and that connection is so important. I do a lot with gut health in my practice, and I see it just connected to like you can tie it back to everything. Like people will come in with all different things, but we can tie it a lot back to our gut. And it's just such like emerging research that like is yet to be explored. But big thing with that, like your gut microbiome, your gut bacteria, right? I was saying a lot of that's in your colon, but it really affects your absorption of your nutrients. And I always tell my clients, like we don't become what we eat, we become what we absorb. So if you're eating things and you're feeling not really well, or your vitamins keep coming back low, like maybe there could be some absorption stuff in there. But improving your gut, in our gut actually, our gut bacteria differ more than our DNA does for person to person, which is pretty crazy. So, and there's all these studies that with like mice, that if you were to do fecal transplants on mice, based on the transplant, the mice will lose or gain weight or be like healthy or not healthy. It's very interesting. So things that can help with your gut in general, right? And like I said, if some of these things, or you're doing all the things and not feeling good, there might be an imbalance, which different topics to address, but gut health boosters, things to help fermented foods, kefir, kimchi, miso, sauerkraut, kombucha. And adding those things, you want to kind of start slow, like even like a teaspoon a day, working up to like a tablespoon a day can be really helpful. Kombucha is like a drink, that's a fermented tea, so you could do more of a teaspoon than that. There's a couple brands that I tried and I like. The, let's see, Trilogy is a good one that I like. Fiber, which we had talked about, but it's everywhere, essential for digestion and detox. Variety is really helpful, so different colors of things in fruits, vegetables, plants. They keep your gut alive. Each different bacteria likes different food. So the more variety we get, we give them all different foods and then they survive. So hydration, keeps digestion flowing, probiotics. Does anyone here take a probiotic or look into them? So it's pretty common. There's so many types out there. I'll say if you're on something you feel pretty good with, it's probably working. But really what they do is they just keep replenishing the good gut bacteria. Because we can just be exposed to a lot of stressors, or if we're not getting on the fuel, they can kind of like die off. But the probiotics kind of help to keep replenishing that.
Can you overdo probiotics?
You could overdo anything.
Okay.
But probiotics, I think, there can be certain types sometimes people don't feel great with. That could maybe mean that the gut's off a little bit. But I think in general they're pretty safe. But if you take one and you start to feel worse, or your stomach feels more upset, or digestive things, and maybe that one isn't like the best.
Second question.
Yeah.
What about refrigeration versus non-refrigerated when you buy them at the store?
That's a good question. There's so many different
I think
ones.
Whole Foods that sells them refrigerated, but those to be non-refrigerated type. So which is better?
I've taken some that are refrigerated and some that are not. I really go based out of the company. I think in general, like the live active cultures should be refrigerated. The supplement industry is really hard to navigate, right? Because sometimes like they'll say they have something, but they don't, because nobody really has to test them. But I get my supplements from a company where they're all third-party regulated and tested from companies, so they like know that that's what you're getting. There's this general good probiotic I like. It's called Seed, S-E-E-D. There's a lot of research with that. I take that one myself. I rotate them though too. So in the ones you'll find most are going to be general full spectrum probiotics. And then there's more detailed ones too.
What's the company that you use of supplements that's tested?
Yeah, so all my clients I give, and you might be able to, I don't know if you need to work with a practitioner, but it's called Full Script. So the word full and then script. And they are a company that works with all these different supplement companies to make sure everything's regulated and tested. And I always feel deal. Like there's a couple good brands I like for supplements that you could get on the internet too or Amazon. I get a lot from Thorne. They always have good products. So that's just spelled THORNE. They have good vitamins. I like, and the other one I really like is Designs for Health. So, yeah.
What's the gut test?
Oh, yeah. So, I do a GI map test is a gut test that I use on myself and with a lot of my clients to get more details. So I never take the place of going to your GI doctor. If someone has stuff going on, I always think it's important to go, get your testing done. But a lot of times people come to see me and they're like, everything comes back fine. I have no answers, and I'm constipated, I have heartburn, I'm bloated, I'm gaining weight, I feel bad. And so this test is a stool sample test that I can do. It's like a functional medicine test, and it gives you like an outline of what's going on in your head. So it's one that you could go to for a lot of different practitioners use it, and then based on those results, that's where I can really see with clients like, oh, we need to add in this or take this away, or this specific probiotic would work for you, because you can see like what is exactly going on. So yeah, it's cool to look into, but that on the test in the company, they'll use it for people, like all sorts of things. So yeah, but in general, if you kind of keep your mind on the gut boosters, questions on that, I think I'll send some emails out too, but I have, I think, all my information on there as well. Okay, so just a couple other quick little topics. So anyone with kind of, swallowing or eating challenges, and I'm sure you guys know this stuff, but choosing soft, moist textures, smoothies, soups, or easy-to-eat things like overnight oats could be helpful. Non-slip placemats, eating more small frequent meals can be helpful for people too, or working with an OT or speech therapist. Kind of just a sample day of eating. This is a sample. You don't gotta like it all. You don't have to be healthy to eat this way. When I work with people, what I like to do is sit down and write meal and snack ideas together and then create a plan based out of that. But in general, like this kind of combines that, like getting enough, not overdoing the protein, but enough fiber, healthy fat. So scrambled eggs in the morning would give you good fiber, adding some spinach for some vitamins and greens, or I have Ezekiel toast or sourdough toast on there and berries. Even like a salad or something for lunch, but lentil soup, Greek yogurt, salmon, quinoa, veggies. So I try to do some kind of protein, carb, veggie type thing for dinner. Even if I'm going out, I'll try to do something similar like that. So yeah, but we could always individualize it for people. Quick meal ideas, and I can send you guys some stuff too with recipes I like for different smoothies or egg muffins, anything you can like batch cook or have someone help you batch cook. Or I like to take just 30 minutes out of my week without getting overwhelmed with meals, just to like have some things cut up, and then you can easily put them into bowls or salads or have fruit to snack on. Protein balls, I got a good recipe for that. They're good for on the go or easy breakfast. So yeah, just some quick ideas. So I've become quite an expert with that. My boyfriend is my top client for that. He makes me make them like every week. But I use protein powder. One of the brands that I'll send you, I use peanut butter, oats, mashed up bananas. So you want the bananas like on the riper side, and that's kind of the liquid. And then I'll use like a dark chocolate chip, and then yeah, so it's all ingredients you kind of have not too much process, and then I'll bake them for like 10 minutes, and they last pretty much like the whole week. So it's a good way to use bananas that are going too ripe.
And I like it because protein helps you make much muscles.
Yeah, you're right. But they're pretty filling too. So supplements, this can always be a topic, right? I think these are some general ones I looked up. That can help with general health, also Parkinson's for some of the top. I've taken everything on this list, but really, if you want to always talk to your doctor first, right? Just based out of you and the overall picture, your medications, getting lab work done. B complexes really can be something good for energy or your neurotransmitters. Some people just will take only like a B12 if yours come back low, maybe a supplement or an injection or something maybe needed. Vitamin D, most people are low in vitamin D. Has anyone's vitamin D ever come back low? Yeah. Yeah. So sun can be really helpful. I mean, we don't want to, use the sun, but 15, 20 minutes direct sunlight a day should be enough to get your vitamin D up, or supplements, because it's just not found in a lot of food. Fish oil, which we were talking about, really good for inflammation. CoQ10 is a good antioxidant. Magnesium, there's like 8 different types of magnesium. So if you're constipated, citrate and oxide are the top 2 for that. And that can be really helpful just to take that at night before bed where everything relaxes. I find that to help a lot of people. If you don't have those issues, a more easy one on the stomach is glycinate. And that can be really helpful for like muscle cramps, sleep, stress, recovery. We just don't really get a lot of magnesium in our food. So
what is citrate or?
Citrate and oxide. And yeah.
CoQ10, what would you use that for?
CoQ10. So it's an antioxidant, so it can help to support your cellular health and your brain function, your heart health, your inflammation. So, an NAC I really like, or NAC you might hear it by. It's there's this major antioxidant in your body called glutathione, and NAC helps to produce that. But NAC is really just good for your rejuvenating your cells. It's good for liver detox. Kind of just helps the body clear stuff out too. So all these are generally safe, but yeah, I would say the best thing to do is talk to your doctor, get some labs done, and then base things out of that and how you feel. Because sometimes it can be so overwhelming, and there's only so much we can take in a day too. It's like just hard to remember, and yeah. So I try to simplify it. Questions? And then kind of just going to some lifestyle stuff. So I think I mentioned that I teach yoga for work too. So I was just looking at the full picture of things. You guys might know a lot of this. I know a lot of you come here for movement and strength, but can't deny that just helps with everything. Your mood, and even down the bottom, just like having a community, relationships, doing things that bring you joy. Sleep is huge. Sleep is where a lot of our hormones reset, just gives us better energy in the day. We eat better, feel better. So, and then getting outside in the fresh air can be really helpful. There's some other countries too, like when people are sick, it's not like medication. I was listening to something the other day, and it's like, if you're in Greece and you're sick, the doctor's going to tell you to go jump in the water. Or, in this country, they're going to tell you to get some sun. It's like these things we have, and depending on, your day, what's accessible to you, if we can fit them in or fun ways to bring them into our life, it really helps. And then the mindset stuff. So we're talking kind of things with your health, right? Nutrition and how and I mentioned the gut health so much because what we eat and we need to get those vitamins and absorb them. But there's this huge link with everything in your body, and there's this, has anyone heard your gut and your mind are connected? Mm-hmm. Right, but it's like, yeah, we get it, but how? A big part of that is, so your nervous system, right? Your vagus nerve, this is a big nerve in your body. It starts right around the base of your spine, and it goes down it connects everything, down your organs, your heart, and it kind of goes into your gut. It looks like tree branches, it's sending all these neural systems. But sometimes when we're stressed, right, it's like, oh, I have a pit in my stomach. Oh, now I need to go to the bathroom. Or I'm holding tension and I haven't gone to the bathroom in days. Or I have heartburn all the time because I'm just, up and I don't feel good. So that nerve there connects your gut and your mind. Why I bring it up? Just because it really can just be, I don't think we're really taught it enough, or it's things I've kind of just figured out that I constantly working on. I don't have it all figured out. But with that, your your nervous system, right, is fight or flight, rest and digest. You can be in two places, but a lot of that nerve that connects your gut and your mind is where a lot of your nervous system is. And we need both. But you got fight or flight where you're gonna run from a tiger, right? Let's say a tiger's running. We need that, right? Like if something is coming, we have to run. Then we have a place of rest and digest where we feel more calm and we really digest our foods better. But often just the world we grow up in and the pressures of society and, you know, we're going, I'm almost done. Okay. And to go into, you know, you gotta go to school, get a job, now you gotta have kids, and now you have all, it's just always a million things to do, right? And so even in that, we can be like, without knowing, in a low grade, like fight or flight, kind of just throughout the day, I'm in a rush. But then we have our rest and digest. Is you ever have those times when you just feel like, oh, I can take a breath, I just feel really good, I can take things slow, I can sit on my porch and read a book, right? Those times is where we really digest our foods better, and our stress decreases. So throughout the day, you know, even if you just try to catch yourself, if you're in more of a state of rush or whatever, it's fine, we all do it. I do it too, but I try to just, rather than keep rushing, just even taking a few pauses and taking like 3 to 5 breaths before you eat can really, really help you to absorb your food better and digest better. Or even in, you know, at your desk or at home or before bed, or you're watching TV and maybe you feel like, oh, I'm not breathing, taking these full deep breaths easily. Kind of getting out of your head and doing these like body techniques of, you can, so have anyone heard of tapping before? There's like this, I'm not an expert on it, but I do things like this butterfly tapping on your collarbones, just kind of like tapping your body, can be really helpful to get your body into a place of rest and digest. If you're really feeling kind of shaky, shaking your body, it sounds weird, but like just shaking things and like, or jumping up and down, like that's what animals do. If anyone has pets, you might see your dog like shake it off, right? That can, we just never really learn that, but that's kind of what we should be doing. So that can be really helpful, and you take a few breaths, like, okay, I'm good. There's all this stuff you could look up on YouTube that is really helpful. But yeah, coming to your workouts, or even just some deep stretching, stuff like that, or meditation I wrote up there. I think meditation is like one of the most powerful things that we can do. It just brings us more awareness and creates space between our thoughts. But I'll say there's a lot of research in that with sports teams. So let's say you have 2 sports teams. One team is not even allowed to step on the field all week. You have another team that they practice every day, right? They're out there, they're working hard. The other team, their job is to meditate and envision themselves winning. And time after time, the team that meditates is the one that wins. So it's just the more we, you know, even visualizations or putting on calm music, taking deep breaths, or setting timers to do some meditation can be really helpful. But I'm not perfect with it. I've gone through phases, and I was really hesitant to get into meditation a long time ago. I was like that typical go person doing a million things. And I did yoga training, just to learn yoga. And I was like, I am only here to do yoga. And I was like, I'm just gonna do the physical practice. And then when it ended, I was like, fine, I'll try. And just even 2 minutes, I started with, I set a timer, and I had this like necklace with beads on it, and I would just count the beads. And afterwards, I was just kind of like, oh, I think I feel a little better. I feel like I can like just, I don't know, get grounded a little more. And then time led on, and I wanted to do it more. And then I got into some like visualization stuff and started doing more of that, like just guided stuff. But I will say that you can't really do it wrong. Like people, I think the biggest things is like, I can't turn my brain off, I'm thinking too much, I don't have time, I can't sit there. But you don't gotta sit here like this and like have your mind to blank. Like that's, usually you'll have thoughts. I just try to lay down and make it comfy, honestly. Put some pillows, put some music on, and every time, I have a ring that measures my stress. And I will say, just from talking with clients and being kind of like engaged, my stress level can get pretty high on the ring, and then every time I meditate, or even just stretch, I drop like this right back down into relaxed. So, and even if my day doesn't look like that, I have that little time in the day where I'm like, whoa, it's just really cool to see. But I will say this, it's just depending if it resonates with you, right? If you notice you're someone who has a nervous stomach or doing all the eating stuff and you're still not feeling like great, or you're just running around all the time or feeling stressed, just even 2 minutes of your day can be really helpful. Or just taking a few breaths before your meals can be something to kind of integrate the whole thing. Or even writing down a couple of things you're grateful for, or talking about it before dinner, or putting on some positive music at night. It all just kind of brings it all together. So yeah, that's basically what I got for you guys today. I know I kind of like to talk a lot, and I just feel I have so much to share. Does anyone have any questions for me? I know you guys asked a lot of great questions today, so thank you. Yes?
Have you, so you're gonna send some recipes?
Yeah, I'm gonna get the email, and I have I'll write down some protein powders and recipes and some stuff like that, yeah. Awesome. Well, yes?
I had a question on protein powder. Do you have cholesterol issues? Do you have to avoid the beef protein?
The things with cholesterol that would make your cholesterol more high are gonna be like sugars and carbs, too much of those, and too much like saturated fats, trans fats. But in general, even like getting in like, good quality like meat once or twice a week, I wouldn't worry about it. So, good question.
You had mentioned that something, I think you were referring to fiber at the time, but it attaches itself to, cholesterol attaches to something. Is it fiber or?
Yep, no, fiber helps to remove cholesterol in your
Okay.
body. It's like a binder. It's
Okay.
gonna remove some
Okay.
toxins. Yep, so that's a good one for, and exercise too. Fiber, exercise, fish oil, healthy fats in there. So, yeah,
Thank you.
you're welcome.
Cool.